Let's get right into it. Number 10. The Heavy Slate. Imagine you're texting under your desk and get caught. These days you might get your phone taken away, but back then, they'd make you hold a heavy slate tile above your head. Try holding your phone above your head for just 5 minutes. Now imagine it's not a lightweight phone, but a thick piece of slate that weighs as much as a gallon of milk. And you're not doing this for 5 minutes, you're doing it for an hour. Your arms start shaking after the first few minutes. Your shoulders feel like they're on fire. Your back muscles are screaming at you to stop. But if you lower your arms even a little bit, the teacher adds more time. Kids would often end up in tears, their arms trembling uncontrollably. Some would even pass out from the strain. This wasn't even considered a severe punishment. It was just a regular Tuesday if you talked during class or forgot your homework. Today, forcing a kid to hold a heavy weight until they're in physical pain would get you arrested for child abuse. Number 9. The Slate Frame Rap. In the 1800s, students had writing slates, those little chalkboards kids used before paper became cheap. The slate itself wasn't the problem. It was the wooden frame around it. Teachers used this hard wooden frame to hit knuckles. If you made a mistake in your writing, the teacher would grab your slate and use the frame to rap your knuckles. Some teachers would make students hold their hands out, palm down, fingers spread, to hit the knuckles just right. If you pulled your hand away, you got hit twice as hard next time. Kids would come home with bruised, swollen knuckles so often that parents saw it as normal. Some students developed permanent damage to their finger joints. Teachers would specifically target the writing hand, the very hand you needed to improve your writing. It's like breaking someone's legs to teach them how to run faster. Try that today, and you're getting a prison cell, not tenure. But back then, it was just another Tuesday at school. Number 8. The balancing beam. Imagine being forced to stand on a narrow wooden beam for hours because you forgot to do your homework. This wasn't some circus act. This was an actual school punishment in the 1800s. Teachers would make students balance on a thin wooden beam, sometimes only 1 inch wide. Kids had to stay up there for hours, trying not to fall while their legs cramped up and their feet went numb. The beam was usually placed at the front of the class, so while you're up there wobbling and struggling, all your classmates get to watch. If you fell off, you had to start over. Some teachers would even make the punishment worse by making kids hold heavy books while balancing. Back then, parents would hear about this and think, good, that'll teach them. Number 7. The water bucket hold. Imagine you're a student in 1930s America, and you've been caught passing notes in class. Your punishment is to hold 2 full buckets of water out at arm's length. You had to stand there holding these buckets until your arms gave out. Some teachers would make it worse by adding salt to the water. When your arms finally gave out and the water splashed on you, that salty water would sting any cuts or scrapes you had. After about 2 minutes, your deltoid muscles would start burning like they're on fire. After 5 minutes, your arms would start shaking uncontrollably, and by 10 minutes, even the strongest kid in class would be in tears. They didn't just use this punishment on troublemakers. Sometimes they'd use it on kids who were left-handed to cure them of using their left hand, because being left-handed was seen as a sign of evil back then. Today, this punishment would get a teacher arrested for child abuse, but back then, that was just standard school policy. Number 6. The posture collar. Imagine you're dozing off in class, and your head starts to droop. Today, you might get a gentle reminder to sit up straight, but in the 1800s, they had something special for that. The posture collar. Basically a medieval torture device disguised as a fashion accessory. A stiff collar made of leather or wood that wraps around your neck like an angry turtle. It wasn't meant to choke you. That would be too merciful. Instead, it forced you to maintain perfect posture by making it physically impossible to look down or slouch. Teachers would slap these on slouchers and leave them on for hours. You'd have to write in your notebook while wearing a wooden neck brace, or eat your lunch while your head was permanently stuck in the yes sir, absolutely sir position. Some schools even made entire classes wear them at once. 30 kids all sitting perfectly straight, heads held high, looking like toy soldiers who swallowed their batteries. These collars would often leave marks and bruises, but at least those kids had perfect posture while developing their childhood trauma. Some schools actually advertised these collars as a character-building feature. Parents actually paid extra for schools that used these things. Number 5. The Balance Yoke. Slouching in class today might get you a warning, but in the 1800s, they had something special for bad posture. The Balance Yoke, a heavy wooden bar, like a gym barbell, locked across your shoulders. They'd hang small buckets of sand on each end. If you slouched even a little bit, those buckets would tip and dump sand all over you. It's like trying to carry 2 full cups of coffee while running, except you had to do it for hours, and you couldn't take it off. It was locked on. Some schools would make kids wear these during the entire school day. Kids had to write with a wooden bar across their shoulders and eat lunch while balancing buckets of sand. The worst part is if you spilled the sand, they'd just refill the buckets and make you keep going. Teachers back then thought this would teach proper posture and discipline, but really, it just gave kids neck problems and a lifelong hatred of sand. Today, Doing this to a student would get you multiple felony charges. Number 4. The bell ringer. If you rang the school bell at the wrong time in the 1800s, you weren't just getting detention. The teacher would tie your hands to the bell rope. Then they'd make you stand there, holding that position, sometimes for hours. Your arms would start burning after the first 15 minutes. By hour 2, you'd be wondering if your shoulders were still attached to your body, and every time you lowered your arms from exhaustion, the bell would ring. It was like a twisted game show where the prize was more suffering. Some kids would be stuck there until sunset, their arms feeling like they'd been through a medieval torture session. Today, this would be considered physical abuse and false imprisonment. That teacher would be in jail. But back then, parents would actually thank the teacher for teaching their kid a lesson. Number 3. The finger trap. So picture this. You're a kid in the 1800s and you just got caught passing notes in class. The teacher pulls out this nasty little device that looks like a mini torture machine. The finger trap was basically 2 pieces of wood with holes for your fingers. When you did something wrong, the teacher would make you stick your fingers in there. Then they'd squeeze the wood together using screws. The pressure would get tighter and tighter until your fingertips felt like they were about to pop. Some teachers would leave kids like this for hours. Imagine trying to write with swollen fingers the next day. Some schools even had special finger trap benches where multiple kids could be punished at once. And get this, parents were actually on board. They thought it was better than beating kids with a cane because it didn't leave visible marks, except for the occasional permanently damaged finger. These things were still being used in some schools until the 1920s. Number 2. The lazy log. In the 1800s, if you dozed off during math, teachers would chain a heavy log to your ankle. Teachers kept collections of these logs, usually oak or maple, specifically for punishing lazy students. And by lazy, I mean things like looking out the window too long or not answering a question fast enough. The log wasn't just heavy. It was designed to be awkward to carry. You had to sit at your desk with a giant piece of wood chained to you. You had to use the outhouse while dragging basically a small tree. And you had to carry this thing home too. Some schools even had special logs with shameful messages carved into them. Things like lazy boy or sloth carved right into the wood. If you tried to take the log off, you'd get an even bigger one the next day. Some kids ended up with permanent back problems from lugging these things around. The practice ended in the early 1900s when people realized that giving kids permanent spine damage wasn't the best way to motivate them. Number 1. The correction cage. Imagine being a student in the 1800s and your teacher catches you whispering to a friend. Instead of getting detention, you're locked in a metal cage hanging from the classroom ceiling. This wasn't some rare torture device. It was a punishment in certain European schools. The cage was usually just big enough for a child to stand in, and it would dangle about 3 feet off the ground. Teachers would leave kids in there for hours, sometimes even a whole school day, and your classmates had to continue their lessons while you hung there like a human chandelier. Some schools got extra creative and put these cages near windows. That way, people walking by could see the bad kids and shame them even more. The craziest part is parents were totally fine with this. They'd actually thank teachers for building character in their kids through these metal sky prisons. Some schools even had multiple cages, like a twisted version of apartment living. Imagine looking up in your classroom and seeing 3 of your classmates hanging there, all because they talked during a test. These cages were finally banned in most places by the early 1900s, probably because someone finally realized that treating kids like parakeets wasn't the best teaching strategy. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.